So, what do I need to know before starting?
Not too much. I mean, parking brake release is down there.
Okay.
Yep. If you ever need to reverse, that's aftermarket. There's a camera here.
In here?
Yeah, I had it plumbed into this thing and it just wasn't playing. Didn't like me doing it. The steering is vague. The car will wallow, and spirited driving may be punished with the stability control screaming at you.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't want to be driven aggressively. It's just shit.
I like it. I have no rev counter because why would you bother?
You do.
Oh, you do have
a little number right down the bottom.
Oh.
There. Digital.
Now, you removed the resonators and some of the mufflers. How many mufflers did it have?
I believe the car has 5 mufflers in the system. I believe. I got abstracted from the work a little bit, so I took it to a local shop that got well recommended, and I just said I want to be able to hear it at least a bit. And they did what they can. They started with the rear mufflers, and I think they said it was still too quiet, so they took out the center muffler as well and put a resonator where the center muffler used to be and straight pipe from back into each side. And now you can hear it, but it's still not loud in here.
So if I go to reverse, I get a nice little...
Yeah. So that was an addition.
Can I move the entire...
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now with my polarizing sunglasses, I cannot see that. So that's interesting. I will look with... Well, I don't have to look. And since it's a Japanese car, it's beeping at me. So I'm not even going to touch sport mode. Why would you? How about some headlights? Brakes are very good, but they are not touchy. Oh, this is Cadillac boosted. What type of shocks are these?
This is on air suspension.
Oh.
Yes. It was quite popular in Japan for them to put aftermarket controllers on them and do the VIP stands it out.
Okay.
Thing, but this one's stock.
I really like the corner mirrors.
They're good.
Why doesn't everybody do this? This is brilliant. Of course you have, oh, that's why, because you have to have them be electric.
There were definitely older cars with the fender mirrors that weren't electric.
But you had to get out of the car to move them,
yeah,
right?
which you know, considering you weren't in the car to see the viewing angle, would have been a bit of a trial and error.
Right. Cadillac can't even touch this. Not maybe Cadillacs of the 60s when Cadillac was Cadillac. But now Cadillac's trying to be sporty. Man. But this really isn't, well, okay, it is old gentleman, Japanese businessman. Well, okay, this is the boss. This is, you can make the Yakuza jokes, I guess. People like to do that with Cadillacs, make mafia jokes. But would statesmen use these?
Yeah, there were at least a few of them in service with the government to ferry people around. The royal family have a car they say is a Century, but it's actually a bulletproof, probably completely independent chassis.
Right. Have you looked for Centuries for a while to own, or was there? How did your story come? I mean, you had the one Reddit thread that went to the top.
Yeah.
With this.
And I mean that was always sort of. I think I was drawn to the car in the same way apparently so many other people are. It's just there was something so incredibly different and quirky and almost unreal about it. The fact that there is this Japanese market only V12, you know, however many foot-long sedan out there in the world. And I owned a Toyota Celsius, which is the Japanese market version of the Lexus LS 400.
Okay.
And I loved that car. It was one of my favorite cars I've ever owned. And that's what sort of brought me into this, because, you know, I'd read a little bit of information online about the car, but every now and then it would come that in the range in Japan, it's slotted below this thing called the Century. Well, what's that? There's no Lexus above the LS400, so what would that be? And as soon as I saw it, the Toyota 1GZ FE V12.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
What's the engine designation?
Yeah, 1GZ FE.
1GZ FE.
Yeah. So the 1GZ is the engine series itself. The FE, I think it's a thing that Toyota does with their engines, where the dash and then the letters afterwards indicate sort of where in the range it sits. Not that there is a range of V12s. This is the only one they made.
Did they use, to your knowledge, did they use this V12 in anything else?
No, they didn't. No. So they made this with the V12 from 1997 all the way till, I believe, 2016. The car was relatively unchanged. I think it got a bit of emissions choking in the late 2000s. It took a bit of horsepower off it. This has a 6-speed instead of a 4-speed, like the earlier cars do. But otherwise, you could have bought almost this identical car in 2016.
People ask me, what is the best car you've ever driven? And the answer used to be Phaeton. Now it is Century. What is the best car out there? It is the Toyota Century. How dignified can you get? This is beyond Rolls-Royce. I mean, that Rolls-Royce Wraith, well, that was a little bit rolling up to the club. This isn't for the guy who owns the club. This is for the president of the land-owning company that owns the land of many clubs.
I love the marketing materials for this car because I dug as much of them out as I could find, and obviously most of them are Japanese and indecipherable to me.
Right.
They mention, and I'm paraphrasing, that this is a car that is acquired through a lifetime of hard work in a plain but formal suit.
Ooh.
That was just, I had to have it. I had to have it.
Man, in my spare time, I drive for Lyft. Imagine having this. You're not going to make any money, because you're just going to be fueling the thing all the time.
Yeah.
Do you need 12 cylinders? No. A V8 would be fine. But you want the absolute best you can have, and that's this. The fact that this is quiet, you hearing the motor, did it sound, or rather not sound, or did it sound like an electric car?
Yeah, so I actually have a little video of me when I first picked it up on YouTube, and the first thing I said when I got in the car was, I whispered, "This is so quiet. What's wrong?" And yeah, I mean, if you put your foot down, really put your foot down, you'd hear it a little bit. But otherwise, it just wasn't there. It was. I've been in a Tesla Model S. I've been in a BMW i3. It was a similar experience. It was just quiet, and because there is so much sound deadening, because you don't get that outside ambient noise as well.
Now, if there's the kick down. Sorry. Whoa, you were right.
Yeah.
That is a lot of weight. It did kick down. Look, it kicked down 2 gears.
So right now it's in normal throttle response. You can put it in power throttle response, and it gets twitchier.
Okay.
Don't know if that's the best place to test it. But
yeah, right.
it's not a big difference, but you do notice it. Oh yeah,
yeah.
But if you ever
surge, pull, yeah.
But if you ever really want to overtake,
where was the?
Okay. Yeah, if you ever want to actually overtake people, you generally kick it into the gear you want. So you just go into that thing and pull it down to 3rd or 2nd.
Did you take that big hill coming out of Wellington to come here?
Yeah, so I used to live over that hill, so I took that almost every day. This doesn't like it very much.
No?
No.
Oh.
It powers up it well enough, but those sort of slow rolling bends, those sort of S-shaped bends you have to go up, it just starts beeping at you.
this would be kept in the slow lane because you're more concerned with the comfort of your passengers than you are for making time or hauling ass. So when we get up here, the ride back, I will film from the back seat. We've arrived at a turnaround, and I'm now going to experience the better part of this car. Oh, these doors.